So I think if someone's injured or someone's down and out, I think sometimes taking a step back and just putting things into perspective and seeing what in the past is lined up to make you happy, I think sometimes that can really change your overall glance or view point on something. So out of high school, I received pretty good grades. I was straight A's all throughout high school. And I was really driven in regards to academics, but one of the problems was I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school. What came up though was a really cool opportunity, and it was a school trip. And when I was in grade 12, I was about 18, I was just graduating, and it was to go down to Tijuana, Mexico. And in that process, start working with some underprivileged children. During the lunch hour, we'd get an hour every day where we can kind of sit in the shade and just relax. And I really didn't want to kind of like just sit around. So what I ended up doing is I started going into the school there, and I started teaching English to the children. And I came home from that experience and I thought so positively of teaching. So during my time at SFU, I started playing football. And my grades, I noticed, were no longer straight A's like they were in high school, and they started to drop. And I think mostly because I wasn't interested, and I didn't know what my passion was, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with this degree. I wanted to leave school, and what ended up happening is one day I was working part-time at a restaurant as well, and one of my grade 12 teachers came in, and he said to me, "So how's school?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not really crazy about university. I don't know if it's kind of my niche. I found my niche yet, and I'm, thinking about maybe dropping out." And he said to me, "Well, what made you happiest?" And I said, "Well, what made me happy was the time that I was teaching English." And he says, "Well, why don't you start studying English?" So naturally I started doing that, and I realized that writing was a huge passion of mine. So I worked for the newspaper up at SFU for 5 years, editing sports column and doing all kinds of stuff in regards to the editorial process, and I graduated. And my marks went up, and I just kind of reignited my passion for school. So I started to apply for law schools, and I got accepted to a law school in San Diego that I really wanted to go to. A friend of mine had been there. So I was going to start taking courses in September. And what ended up happening is I had about from January to September where I was not in classes. Obviously, I had graduated from SFU. So I decided I was going to go do 6 months of backpacking around Europe. And I got on a motorcycle, and in a lot of cities that we were in, we would take motorcycles around, quick, easy way to see the cities. The last thing that I remember is I hit this patch of gravel, and I started sliding on the bike, and the bike kind of slid underneath me. So I naturally went over top of it and started tumbling, and that's the last thing I remember. My friend who was in behind me saw it happen. What had happened is the bike had flipped over and had landed on me, and I had hit my head on the pavement, and as I hit it, what happened is I'd split the helmet right open and obviously was concussed. And the bike had fallen onto my leg and dragged along the pavement, and broke my left foot, 4 of my toes, and a bone going up my leg. And I also had gravel from my ankle all the way up to my shoulder. So I went to the hospital, and they were pulling pieces of gravel out of me for hours. And then once it was bandaged up and they'd reset my leg through surgery, I was sent home. Being unable to walk, I couldn't go down there for school. And so I contacted the school, told them what happened, and they said to me, "Well, maybe you can come in with our next level of it, like our next admission." And I started to really ponder my life and think like, hey, is this something I really want to do, or is this something that I've kind of fallen into because family members of mine had gone into law? What I did is I was filling up with gas one day once I was able to start walking again, and my grade 6 teacher, who was now an elementary school principal, said to me, "Oh, what happened?" So I started talking to him, and he said to me, "Well, if you're trying to get back on your feet again and want to just keep busy, get something to do until you decide if you want to go back to school or not, why don't you come work at the elementary school? It's just like a teacher assistant 1 day a week." I really loved my time there. Like I was excited for that Monday every week, and on days that it fell on a holiday, I was really upset about it because I enjoyed going there. So he pulled me aside one day and he said to me, "Have you ever thought about doing this like as a profession?" I says, "No, like my family would be pretty upset if I left the opportunity to do law school." And he said, "Well, why don't we put you on a few more days a week and we'll pay you, and so it won't be volunteer, and see if you like it or not." So I started doing that, and I fell in love with it, and been doing that ever since, and I really love it, and I don't ever wake up on a morning and regret my decision, so it's pretty cool.